people to get the virus. We need to stop people to die.
Our next guest, Senator Martha McSally from Arizona, walks the walk. She was the first female combat fighter pilot. She's an A-10 pilot, an American Patriot, flew combat missions in the Middle East. We're now involved in a global conflict, whether it's a pandemic, this economic crisis, Seattle, Washington's being taken over by anarchists, all supported by the Chinese Communist Party. This is the great unfinished work of the 20th century.
This is the biggest geopolitical threat of our adult life, and we've seen China on the rise now for the last several decades, fueled in part by failed policies, from the elite, and they've been cheating and stealing and continuing to build their military. But in this moment, I think Americans have woken up because they unleashed the coronavirus on America, on the world. They're responsible for the deaths and the economic calamity. They're still covering up. They're lying about it. They've got a massive propaganda campaign. And I think this campaign from President Trump and then myself against Joe Biden and Mark Kelly for Senate is going to be, who do you trust to take on China, to stand up to China? And in my case, I am standing up to China. I'm confronting them. I'm holding them accountable, leading on legislation. They're actually threatening me personally, threatening to meddle in our election. And my opponent actually is doing business with them. He's got investments with them. They've got investments with him. And this is going to be consequential in our race.
Tencent is known as a CCP-sponsored company. Okay?
Yes.
Kelly's got all these relationships with the CCP. Why are they not condemning? Why are they not condemning for the people of Arizona the involvement of the Chinese Communist Party in this global pandemic, in this global economic crisis? Over 110,000 Americans are dead because of the Chinese Communist Party. Where's your opponent in all this?
Well, he's financially beholden to them. Like you said, Tencent invested in a company that my opponent co-founded. He has, Tencent executives donating to his campaign. He's invested in them as well. They're responsible for the censorship and the cover-up in the coronavirus and so much more. Their surveillance operations and their ties to communist China. So if you're financially invested and close to a company like that, you're not going to stand up to China. And that's why China is threatening me and threatening to meddle in this election. And he just took a different path after we both served. I chose to continue to serve and fight for our country in a different outfit, but the same oath of office. And he chose to go into business with the Chinese associated with the Chinese Communist Party.
It's his funeral today in Houston. But one of the things, Mr. Floyd was murdered in cold blood, by these former police officers. That's all going to be adjudicated in the legal system. But one of the things that people I don't think are talking about, and this is buried in a New York Times story, is that Mr. Floyd, I think, had coronavirus. right? Which is the CCP virus. We know this came from Central China. We know the CCP hid it from everybody. We know they exacerbated the problem once they knew they had to get it throughout the world. You know, Mr. Floyd had this horrible plague that he had coronavirus. I think he was being treated for it, but he had coronavirus. In addition, he had some fentanyl, I think traces of fentanyl in the system, which is the drug that they're forcing through the cartels in Mexico up into the United States that's poisoning people, particularly in these upper Midwest cities. In addition, I think they were called because some controversy about a $20 bill. We know that the CCP, from all the intelligence reports, is trying to force counterfeit currency into the United States as one of their weapons against us. So if you look at just those three forces of how the CCP, you know, helped destroy Mr. Floyd's life. Now, they're not, the police officers murdered Mr. Floyd, and they're up for murder, and they're going to be put on trial for that. But people can't miss the point of what's happening into our big cities in the United States, that the effort of the Chinese Communist Party is more active than ever.
Well, Steve, I also want to just add to that as well. It's a really important point about this counterfeit money strategy. There was a story from January the 27th from the local press in Minnesota, which showed that $900,000 in counterfeit money had been seized from the International Falls port of entry, and that the Customs and Border Protection Agency said the counterfeit money was found in a commercial rail shipment that originated in China. Now, they found 45 cartons of counterfeit $1 bills, and sources have told me in the last couple of days that while George Floyd may have been, there may have been some handling of some counterfeit $20 bills, and CBP hasn't found any counterfeit $20 bills at the port of entry, that actually what a lot of these counterfeiters do is they take the paper from the $1 bills and repurpose them into other bills. So there are three legs to this stool of how George Floyd's life has effectively been attacked and destroyed by the Chinese Communist Party before this incident even happened.
Amazing breaking news. Senator Hawley has just introduced a bill called the Taiwan Defense Act. Very simple. A bill to maintain the ability of the United States Armed Forces to deny a fait accompli by the People's Republic of China against Taiwan and for other purposes. He made a statement which was, I think, very strong, and I think this shows you why Hawley's becoming such a great leader in the U.S. Senate. Taiwan is the linchpin of a free and open Indo-Pacific, Senator Hawley said. If the Chinese Communist Party is allowed to seize control of Taiwan, it will stand ready to dominate the region. This would pose an unacceptable threat to the lives and livelihoods, not just of our Asian allies and partners, but of working Americans here at home. We must not allow this to happen.
未試過咁嘅情形咧。青衣咧就多天橋嘅，我諗全香港係最多天橋嘅地方。但係呢個碼頭咁嘅情形係真係未見過啦。
家园，保卫家园，保卫家园。
来，大家等一下，我们请了鳌山的一个心力强开的一个老太太的老者吧，从城里给接来，让他给咱们说一下他的经历。在哪呢？哦，好的，真的非常感谢您，也是妈妈服务员帮我。
这个月10号还不上贷款了，昨晚一宿没睡，嘴都起泡了。去年的时候就是房贷就没有钱还了，然后就用网贷借网贷去还房贷。 然后到上个月又开始信用卡提现去还网贷，现在信用卡提现也提不了了，而且上个月提现的那个钱现在还没还上呢，上个月提现了2万，现在还没还上呢。然后这个月就是又是信用卡又是房贷又是网贷，3个加一起就要崩盘了，拆东墙补西墙，补不上了，要倒了墙。
万人辖区，万人辖区。
你们咋了？啥了你？无罪。来，下步嘛。好了，你我的说法。有政府给我们说法。
这边也是一辆保时捷，看看这边一辆法拉利，这才真正的好。这边这是一辆大奔，是招聘广告，又是一辆大奔，是在做广告招主播之类的。这辆车很少见，比奔驰还贵，车主有钱人呀。那天已经黑了，又进来好多超级跑车。这些可都是开点跑车来摆地摊的超级跑车，正准备进入摆摊位。这辆绿色的也是一辆跑车，也是准备开到自己的摆摊位。夜市的人也慢慢多起来了。看看这边跑车上摆的东西，都是一些小配件、泡泡机之类的，感觉他们应该不是来摆地摊，是来体验生活的。
先把这个关了，带走，这个摄像机不能带走。除非你把录像带放下来，你这个不能报，你不能带走的，你这个不能报，你不能带走的。
一个社会在崩溃前的7种征兆：一、搞政治而不讲原则。Politics without principles。2. 积累财富而不付出劳动 ，Wealth without work。3. 追求享乐而不关心他人 ，Pleasure without conscience。4. 拥有知识而没有品德 ，Knowledge without character。5. 经商而不讲道德 ，Commerce without morality。6. 研究科学而不讲人性 ，Science without humanity。7. 膜拜神灵而不做奉献 ，Worship without sacrifice。这是印度圣雄甘地在1925年《年轻的印度》一书中总结出来的，如今看来依然有警醒意义。
被控的几个人在搅拌站那个塔顶上那个位置，四周都被水冲融了。现在目前他们就是在那个地方。往上来，这样来。我们那儿些干部行吗？还新点过来了。
我们敢看到那现在
来开车。
楼这么大，跟个河一样。
The flag on back of me is this flag of the new federal state of China. This is a group of really millions of Chinese expatriates throughout the world, all the way from Australia to the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Europe, that have come together to form really a government in exile to stand opposite of the Chinese Communist Party and dedicate themselves to take down the Chinese Communist Party. We had a huge event last week in front of the Statue of Liberty. I was on this very vessel, and in fact, we went to a smaller vessel, actually go in front of the Statue of Liberty, because they respect the Statue of Liberty and honor what she stands for. They want that same freedom of assembly, the freedom of religion. They want the rule of law. And so they had I was honored to be able to read the English version of their proclamation. The Chinese couple that now live in Spain read the Chinese version, and that caused a complete meltdown by the Chinese Communist Party. This would be like Michael Jordan reading it. He is a revered figure, and they completely, just like Stalin, just like the neo-Maoists want to do, they completely erased all of his name from the internet. He had 7 million followers on Weibo, one of their chat sites. Totally erased. They took him all off of YouTube. They had his son fired, who's a big football star on a Serbian team, had his son fired. They took off all YouTube mentions of he and his wife. His wife is the greatest badminton player. Badminton's a huge sport over there in China. She's I think the greatest living badminton player. They removed all mention of her, all mention of him. The Wall Street Journal's picked this story up today, but it shows you that unlike in the past, there's so many dedicated working class and middle class people in China that are expatriates that are coming forward to dedicate themselves to the takedown of the Chinese Communist Party. Every person I've talked to that's a Chinese citizen has told me what's going on in the United States is exactly like the Cultural Revolution by the Red Guard in 1966, 68. All the way to 1978. That's what we're going to have a special this weekend. We're going to do the Cultural Revolution, what it was like then, what are the implications today. It'll be on the Saturday War Room show.
Stop people to get the valleys. We need to stop people to die.